We're back for our daily college basketball best bets here on Monday, November 17th. It's a new week, new best bets. Let's get it started on the right foot this week. We've got a good amount of games today. Not many big power matchups in terms of, power 4, power 5 versus power 5 games, but we have a decent one to close tonight. We'll say it now again. Oregon State taking on Oregon in Eugene. So again, 5 best bets today like we do every single day. And folks, if you want to continue to see more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel, all I ask you to do is hit that subscribe button down below and leave a like. Later today, we will have our NBA best bets. Again, both these are daily on the channel. And later today, we'll have our college football week 13 predictions. There are 59 FBS versus FBS football games. The video is going to be at least 4 hours long, so you're not going to want to miss that today. Hopefully, it should be at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Also, NFL predictions for week 12 will be tomorrow, but also there's a Monday Night Football game tonight, so if you want to see the prediction for that, make sure to go check that out. Linked in the description down below. And our UFC Fight Night Qatar predictions. Arman Sarukian takes on Dan Hooker from Doha, Qatar. We did our full predictions yesterday on Greedo Plays MMA, and go subscribe to Greedo Plays MMA as well if you have not yet. Okay, on to the first of our 5 best bets today for college basketball, kicking things off with a mid-major matchup and a banger over in Syracuse, New York, between the Lemoyne Dolphins and the Niagara Purple Eagles. Give me Lemoyne, okay? I know we picked against Lemoyne last week. We took UMass to beat them and covered 13.5 points, and shout out to UMass for covering exactly. They won by 14. We needed them to win by 14. I'm going to take Lemoyne here, guys. I know Lemoyne loses to UMass, and I talked quite a bit about how I didn't think Lemoyne was that good. They're not great, but they didn't play that poorly at UMass, and really now when you look at the entire year Lemoyne's put together, they've played competitive basketball. The Bowling Green game wasn't, but the Xavier game was very competitive. They made runs in the second half against Xavier, and ultimately lost the game by 5 points. But I think Lemoyne's actually building to something here. And it has to be talked about. They've played 3 consecutive road games. They've been away from Syracuse for 3 straight games. They played their first game was against a Division II school in SUNY Cobleskill. Can't say I know where that is. But Lemoyne has not played at home since their initial game this season. They've been traveling around, and now they're going to take on Niagara, who obviously, is relatively somewhat close to Syracuse. I don't know my New York geography the best, but I think it's relatively close. Anyways, Niagara is 2-1. They have won a game on the road this season. They beat Binghamton. They beat the Bearcats on the road. They were a plus 135 dog in that game. Came on late in that one. Low scoring affair early, but the Purple Eagles added on late in that game and coming off a win over Delaware State. My thing about Niagara is, yes, they're a 2-1 team, but the teams that they have beaten are not very good. Again, the Bearcats out of Binghamton are very mid. They're a 1-4 team whose only victory is a Division II school by 10 points. And then Niagara's other win is over lowly Delaware State coming out of the MEAC. And again, if you know MEAC basketball, at least bottom of the MEAC is absolutely atrocious. That's what Delaware State is. They have not won a game yet this season. They played the new school, New Haven, and went to Connecticut and lost by 13 points. So Niagara is 2-1. They have a winning record. They have played the bottom of the barrel team so far this season. First game of the year, they went to Duquesne on opening night, and they played Woj's school and lost by 20 points. No, Woj's at St. Bonaventure. My goodness. Anyways, though, I'm gonna pick against Niagara. I'm gonna take Lemoyne. Trent Mosquera is currently leading their team points. I don't know why I made the connection to Woj and why there's some connection to. I don't know why I thought. I've known Woj at St. Bonaventure. We literally talked about that early in the season. I don't know why I tied that. I don't know why I immediately just thought there's some relation to Duquesne and NBA. There's some relation to Braun, I think, in Duquesne, isn't there? I'm pretty sure there is. Anyways, regardless of that, obviously Woj is the GM at St. Bonaventure. He's got all those European players. Anyways, Niagara, I think, is going to lose Lemoyne. Lemoyne's just been on the road. They are being led in points currently by Trent Mosquera, who's averaging 15 points per game. This is a junior guard for them. He's been really excellent this season. He was a player that averaged only 6 points a game last year at Lemoyne, but now he's starting every single game, and he's making the most out of that opportunity. Dang Garang also averaging 10-plus points per game. He's averaging 12. The sophomore out of Syracuse, New York, played at Lemoyne again last season. Was very limited in the games that he got to play, but he was good in those games that he actually got on the court for. He is now back. This is a guy who... This is a player who is not has not gone on track yet from beyond the three-point line, but last year was a 48% three-point shooter. He's only been an 18% three-point shooter so far this season. Expect that to pick up. And again, without that shot, he's still averaging 12-plus points per game. I look at the Niagara Purple Eagles. Again, they've only beaten bad teams so far, and they've been winning these games by very low scores. So the win over Binghamton, 67-59. The win over Delaware State, 68-57. I mean, sure, that's going to get you by against low-level mid-majors, and honestly, is Lemoyne that too? Kind of, but Niagara's on the road here. I think Lemoyne can get this. Again, every Purple Eagles game is low scoring. Justin Page and Trenton Walters are by far their two best scorers. They're the only two players so far for the Purple Eagles to crack, or they are the only two who, not to crack, that's crazy, to average more than 10 points per game. Justin Page put up 12 in their win over Delaware State, but he barely comes off the court. Was on the court for 38 minutes in the Binghamton game. This is a player from Peoria, Illinois, started at Cal Poly over at St. Louis Obispo. The other star player, I guess, scorer so far this season has been Trenton Walters. Even though he's been off and on, he had one really good game against Binghamton where he scored 23. The other two games this season, he scored 5 a pop against Duquesne and Delaware State. Walters was at Radford last year, appeared in pretty much every single game for that team last year, and averaged 1 point a game. So, again, that's just the opportunity guys are given at mid-major basketball. I understand. But I'm going to take Lemoyne here. I think Lemoyne, again, has just been playing some difficult teams, having to go on the road. And now they get a good spot here at home, right? Lemoyne was competitive against Xavier. They did lose to UMass by 14 points, but this is a team that stays in the game. They can score, and ultimately, too, right? Watching Niagara play and how their games have gone, these are not high-scoring affairs. If Lemoyne's just able to put some pressure on this team, put a pace on the Purple Eagles, I fully expect the Dolphins to win. So give me Lemoyne here at home, and they're dogs here, which I'm a little surprised by. Give me Lemoyne, plus 100 at home against the Niagara Purple Eagles. I think it's a great spot. On to our second best bet of the video, we move to another mid-major game. Again, there's going to be a lot of mid-major basketball today just because, the big schools are all beating up on pretty bad squads. Like, for example, Georgia's playing Florida A&M, where UGA's a minus 38.5 point favorite. Iowa State's playing Stonehill. Wisconsin's playing SIUE. Clemson's playing North Alabama. Colorado's playing Alabama State. Tennessee's playing Rice. Not many great opportunities there. We will take this one, though, as we again go to a matchup in Fargo, North Dakota, between the North Dakota State Bison and the Southern Illinois Salakis. I always butcher that. Anyways, I'm going to take North Dakota State at home. I know Southern Illinois has been a very high-scoring team this season. They have already beaten a squad out of the Summit League this year as they hosted the Kansas City Roos and beat Kansas City 101-78. Now, Kansas City so far this season, and really for the last couple of years, has never been a premier squad in the the Summit. Obviously, Southern Illinois is in the Missouri Valley. So I don't really put too much into that. I know, again, a lot of people are banking on the fact that Southern Illinois played a competitive game on the road at UNR against Nevada, which was impressive, do not get me wrong. They only lose to the Wolfpack by 5 points. Again, their other two games this season, the win over Kansas City where they put up 100 points, and then a win over D2 McKendree University. Now, Southern Illinois is led by one player and one player only. That is Quelron House. House has been averaging 20 points per game this season. This has been a big-time scorer for them. He was at Jack State last year, started quite a bit for the Gamecocks. Now he's here at Southern Illinois. He's dropped 18, 18, and 28 in each of the 3 first games so far this year. Obviously, in that big game against Nevada, scored 22 in overtime. Not just in the overtime period, but as the game obviously went on to overtime. And he played 44 minutes in that game. Yes, he sat out for 1 total minute against the Nevada Wolfpack. This is a guy who can be on the court at all times. He's going to be their primary scorer, and he's the primary ball handler as well. 6 feet tall as House. Again, he's going to be dishing out assists. Not really the best shooter. At least he doesn't really attempt many shots. He's going to try to get inside. He's going to finish at the rack, and he's been pretty good at doing so far. Now, for the North Dakota State Bison, it's a 2-2 team this season. They've been competitive pretty much in every single game that they've played. I get it, they played some bad schools. Well, recently they've played some bad schools, but they started the year in Corvallis, losing to Oregon State. Again, more on the Beavs later. Played the Beavs to a competitive game. How about Markai Strickland? He's been very good this year. Strickland has put up 15-plus points in every single game so far this year for the Bison. This was a starter last year for West Michigan who averaged 12 points per game. He's come to NDSU, and he's been pretty solid this year for North Dakota State. Has played limited minutes in the last couple of games, but NDSU has never really been in trouble against CSUN and St. Scholastica. I don't know what that is. But the Bison have gotten great output out of him so far. The first 2 games, they lose in Corvallis and at UC Davis, but games against Cal State Northridge and obviously the win over D2 St. Scholastica, whatever, look good. Especially the CSUN game winning 90-68. Again, I don't think CSUN's going to be any bit what they were last season. I know they did go to UND and win, and they beat Troy at home. I'm not too sold on the Matadors from what I've seen so far this year, and maybe that'll change once we get into Big West play. I know they start, I think, a home game against Bakersfield, so we'll see how that goes. But still, North Dakota State goes out there and absolutely dominates that team. They beat them by 22 points. It's an absolutely big victory for the Bison. Southern Illinois on the road, I mean, if you can take away House and you can take away his driving ability, I think they're a very beatable team. You know, I like the Summit League quite a bit. I know they go through their ups and downs. They haven't been the greatest this season. Don't get me wrong. Again, these teams give teams trouble. But I think Markai Strickland's been playing really well. Damari Wheeler-Thomas has been playing some really good basketball so far as well. Back-to-back games, 10-plus points, scored 22 in the CSUN game. This is a guy in Wheeler-Thomas who has started pretty much every single game but 4 in his entire NDSU career. He's in his junior season. He started pretty much every single game again except for 4 in his freshman year. Started all 32 games last season, 2 seasons ago for the Bison. Did not play last year. Now is back again, starting every single game for this team. So he's been big at the 1. We'll see how he will handle, again, the primary ball handler and just the primary scorer in Quellron House. But I do believe NDSU can win. Again, other than House for Southern Illinois, not much production. It's a team that's going to give up a lot of points. And yes, I know people are high. You know, I would assume everyone is high on this squad because they just went to Nevada and took them to overtime, played a really competitive game against a team that they weren't particularly supposed to be close with. I mean, Nevada was a 11 or 12 point favorite in that basketball game, and obviously South Dakota State found a way, Southern Illinois, my goodness, found a way to remain competitive. I think NDSU is going to get them here. Again, I don't really care how they get it done. We just need a victory, and I think the Bison will be able to win this game in Fargo. And again, when we look at the odds, we're taking another underdog here. We had plus 100 in our first game with the Lemoyne Dolphins at home. We now get plus 105 for NDSU. So I'm going to keep rolling with home teams. Again, home court advantage in college basketball, whether there is a crowd or not, and a rowdy crowd or not, still travel's a real thing. I know, again, the trip from Southern Illinois is not the furthest to Fargo, North Dakota, but it's still a trip. And I think NDSU is able to capitalize on this home court advantage, and I think they're going to be able to run Southern Illinois off the court. I'm going to go NDSU to win one here tonight. Again, it doesn't matter how they get it done. We just need the Bison to win. Give me NDSU at home, money line, plus 105 for the Bison. On now to our third best bet of the video as we move to another mid-major game and a very good mid-major basketball game from the Thunderdome in Santa Barbara, California. We've got the UC Santa Barbara Gauchos taking on the Loyola Marymount Lions. UCSB, I mean, this is a school that quietly produces professional talent through multiple sports. Again, the two most recently, obviously, AJ Mitchell, who was a 20-plus points per game scorer for UCSB, obviously now with the Oklahoma City Thunder, NBA champion, by the way, AJ Mitchell, and then Tyler Brenner, who's also, was a baseball player at UCSB, but this is a guy who got drafted with the number 2 overall pick. In the MLB draft over to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. They have guys, man. They get guys. Tyler Bremer over at UCSB. UCSB produces talent. Now, here's the thing. They don't have an AJ Mitchell, and I know I brought up Bremer just because of the hell of it, because he was the number 2 overall pick behind Washington Nationals high school pick Eli Willits. Anyways, they don't have a player like AJ Mitchell. I mean, Colin Smith is really good. Aiden Mahaney can score too. I don't see NBA talent when I look at these two guys. Colin Smith was a bounce back. Not bounce back. He had to leave Vanderbilt because he wasn't really getting PT there, so he came to UCSB last season. Started half the games he played in. Was an 8 points per game scorer. He's averaging 18 so far this year in his junior year. That's all right. And then their senior, Aiden Mahaney, has been around college basketball for quite a bit. If you remember, started a lot of games at St. Mary's 3 seasons ago. Played at UConn last year, barely got run off the bench, averaged 10 minutes a game, 4 points per game. UCSB so far, obviously, he's going to play 30-plus minutes a night and score 14 points per game. Again, they have scores. Obviously, there's no just, straight NBA talents on this team like AJ Mitchell was, obviously. But UCSB has been good this season, right, with Mahaney and Colin Smith, 2 guys who have played at power programs before. And also, again, that's what UCSB is going to get because they are a credible, they are a credible program. They have brought in and sent talent to the league. Miro Little, by the way, played at Baylor, he's at UCSB now, played at Baylor, played at Utah last year. Now he's at UCSB again. The Gauchos are just one of these schools who are going to continue to get, Power 5 bounce backs and Power 5 guys who can't really cut it on a rotation over at a Big 12 school or at a Big East school. And now obviously UCSB is going to take them in, and that's going to keep the Gauchos obviously very competitive. I think Loyola Marymount's playing really good basketball this season. LMU's 5-0. And now when you really look at this record, okay, who have they beat? All right, well, they beat Lincoln University, which is a new Division II school in, I believe, Oakland. Eastern Washington victory for LMU. All right, I mean, EWU has their games, but that's a team that went to Colorado and scored 97 points. They went to Los Angeles and only lost by 6 points to UCLA. And LMU beat Eastern Washington by more points than Colorado and UCLA did. So that's something to say. They beat Arkansas Pine Bluff. Whatever, I know the team's not very good. They went to UTEP and won. I know, again, the Miners might not be the best this season, but Loyola Marymount went there and won a basketball game. And then their last win at home, they go out and beat Troy. So a quick trip for LMU over to UCSB. So far this season, they've gotten great scoring out of 3 players. They've got 3 guys averaging more than 15 points per game. That would be Rodney Brown Jr., Myron Amy Jr., and Jan Vide. All these guys averaging 15 points plus per night. Again, the leading scorer right now is going to be the junior guard in Rodney Brown, averaging 16 points per game, dropped 28 in the Arkansas Pine Bluff game, and I get it, right? Their competition has not been the best so far, but gotta take advantage of the scoring when you can get it, and LMU, like UCSB, gets these bounce backs from power schools. As for Rodney Brown, played at multiple ACC schools, well, actually, played at Cal when they were still in the Pac-12, but played at Cal, played at Virginia Tech last season, never got to start at either of those programs. Well, now he's here at LMU, and he's starting. Myron Amy, this is a player who's been very around college basketball, played 3 years at San Jose State, was a starter in his junior year, a really sophomore year at San Jose State, played at LMU last year, came off the bench. This is a guy who was a 16 points per game scorer at SJSU. Last year only scored 8 a game for the Lions, and now this season averaging 15 points per game coming off the bench. He's been great in a bench role so far for them this year, again, averaging 15 a night. And how about Jan Vide, the junior out of Slovenia? He plays the 3. Vide's been absolutely huge. This is the guy who started at UCLA, played at LMU last year, dropped 24 points in 32 minutes against the Troy Trojans. He's been absolutely massive this season for the Loyola Marymount Lions. And again, this team just has scores. So when I look at this game, I don't think that UCSB is that much better than LMU. I get it. They get the advantage of the game being at home, but it's not like this is a long trip for Loyola Marymount. This is a hour-and-a-half bus ride at max. That part of LA. Well, I'm assuming they're going to get there early. Yeah, well, they have to get there early. I don't think it's going to take more than an hour and 45 minutes for LMU to get over to UCSB. So it's really not that bad of a trip. Oh, how can I forget too? Jalen Shelley, too, also played at USC, now at LMU. Again, both these schools get bounce backs from power schools. And also, again, that's just your location where you are. Obviously, LMU in Los Angeles. You see Santa Barbara, obviously, in Santa Barbara, right on the coast. These schools are going to get players just primarily based off location alone, and because they have credible programs too. But I look at this Loyola Marymount team, I don't think they're that much worse than UCSB. I'd argue maybe they're better. I think they play way better defense than the Gauchos do. I know the Gauchos can score, but their wins, okay, Loyola Marymount's wins might not be great, but neither are SB's. You beat San Francisco State. I didn't even know SF State had a basketball team. San Jose State win by 11 points. All right, cool. And then your best win by far is going to Sac State and winning. Sac State we had yesterday. They won, did not cover. Thanks, guys. Only beat Presbyterian by 2 points. Awesome. Not the best wins. Yeah, the Sac State win, I think, is going to age all right. We just need to see how Sac plays in the Big Sky, and then I'll really get a feeling of how good Sacramento State is this season. But I think Loyola Marymount's really right there with UCSB, and the way I see this game, this is going to be a competitive one that goes right down to the wire. Don't really care who wins. We just need the game to be within a score, and I think exactly that's what we get here. I'm going to take Loyola Marymount on the road in the Thunderdome at UCSB, plus 3.5 for the Lions in a great matchup between 5-0 LMU and 3-0 UCSB. On now to our 4th best bet of the video, we go to probably the biggest game of the night. It is in the thumbnail. We have Oregon State as the Beavs go on the road. They travel 45 minutes down south to Eugene, Oregon to take on the Oregon Ducks. I think Oregon State's going to play a competitive game here. Competitive enough. Every Oregon Ducks home game we've seen so far this year, the games have been close. They hosted Hawaii in the first game of the season, and Hawaii went out there and almost beat them. Oregon wins the game by 1 point. It's a game that Hawaii very well could have won. I know Hawaii has their games, but they're much better on the island than they are in the continental United States. Oregon then hosts Rice. Rice almost beats Oregon as well. Rice loses a 4-point game. And then they play South Dakota State, who, again, shout out to the Jacks. I was not expecting that game to be competitive at all. South Dakota State had a lead with about 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter in that game. I don't think they ever took a lead. They were down 1 in that game. But regardless, they were competitive late in that game, and SDSU covers on the road. Oregon wins by 14, but still, it was way too close for comfort late. Again, Oregon goes on their best run at the very end of the basketball game, but I'm telling you, the Jacks were in it with about 8 minutes to go. So Oregon's yet to just put away a team, and you might be thinking, well, eventually you have to blow somebody out. And while that might be the case, I don't think it's happening right now. I mean, this team's off for an entire week before they play. They're going to Vegas, right? Yeah, they're playing the Player Era Festival in Las Vegas over Thanksgiving week, as they're going to be playing Auburn and San Diego State in back-to-back nights. I think you get a third game there, if I'm not mistaken, right? I believe it's three games in 3 days, but I don't think Oregon's going to blow out Oregon State. I get it. Oregon State might not be that great. They're a WCC school. They're 3-0 this year. Are they the most impressive victories? No. But if I can say anything about Oregon State is that they play competitive games. Oregon State was a participant last year in the college basketball crown. I know they were very disappointing last year in the WCC tournament. Obviously, the WCC tournament, if you don't know, is really weird. I don't mind it. If you're the worst team in the West Coast Conference, you have to win 7 times in 7 days, and it's just a continuous bracket of, if you're, say, the 1 seed, you only have to play 2 games to win the championship. If you're the 14th seed, you got to win 7 nights in a row. Anyways, Oregon State, they lost to Pepperdine in the first round of that thing last year. That was very disappointing for them. But the Beavs did go to the crown, and they lost a competitive game to UCF over in Las Vegas. But again, Oregon State, 3-0 this year. It's not an impressive 3-0 by the results and the fact that, okay, well, you're playing competitive games against these schools, but they're winning. And if I can say anything about the Beavs is that they know how to play competitive games so far this year. Like, is the win over North Texas the best? I don't know, considering North Texas, after going to Corvallis, went to Moraga and got completely shut down, lost by 31 points. But that's just what St. Mary's does. They're one of the best defensive schools in the country every single season. If you go to Moraga, you know you're in for a defensive battle. And that's just how St. Mary's plays. They're like the Iowa of college basketball. So anyways, though, Oregon beats North Texas, Oregon State. They beat them by 2 points. Is it a great win? No, but they get it done. Shout out to Johan Munch. Yep, Johan Munch, who is averaging 10 points per game, put up 10 points in the UNT victory. Again, that's a sophomore out of Copenhagen, Denmark. His last name's actually Munch. Previous 2 games for Oregon State beats North Dakota State. Again, we talked about the Bison earlier. Is it a dominant win? No, but Oregon State wins it. And then a 3-point win over UIC. They're winning games, though, and really that's all you ask for. It's just, here's the thing. I'm not asking them to win this game. We just need it to be close. And if the previous results this season can indicate anything, is that Oregon State's played competitive games all year long. The Oregon Ducks have played competitive games all year long. This one should be competitive too. Do I think that Oregon State's going to be great this season? I'll be honest with you, probably not. Okay, I don't think there's a lot better teams in the WCC, but that just comes with the West Coast Conference. It's a great conference. It really is. If you consider it mid-major basketball, which it is, I mean, it's the best mid-major, I believe. Again, like Mountain West is great. Obviously, MVC's got their years. Shout out to the zero bid A10. I like the WCC quite a bit. It's very good basketball. And obviously adding Oregon State and Wazoo is huge. I know, again, these teams are going to leave next year, plus Zaga, because they're going to the Pac-12. But right now, Oregon State has guys. About Josiah Lake. So far this year, Josiah Lake II, averaging 14 points per night. The junior out of Tualatin, Oregon, has been massive, scored 22 points in the UIC game. This is a player now in his 3rd season with the Beavs. Again, we talked about Johan Munch. How about Isaiah C., who's averaging 9 points per game, the junior out of France. He's been solid this year. Again, they've got guys playing rotational minutes. They've bought into this defensively minded squad, and they score when they need to. Des White, also a big part of the starting lineup and rotation. White plays 28 minutes a night, fills up the stat sheets. He's going to handle the ball most of the game. Might not score the most points, but he's going to be facilitating things. This was a every game starter last year for the Missouri State Grizzlies. Played at Austin, PA the year before. He's done nothing but start in every single game so far. Missouri State Bears, not the Grizzlies. He's done nothing but start, though, at every level of college basketball that he's played. So I think Oregon State can be competitive. I get it. Oregon's got guys. I mean, I said that at the beginning of the year. I know who they brought back. Obviously, Nate Biddle, Jackson Shellstad. There are players, right? I mean, obviously, Shellstad can hit threes when he needs to. I think Biddle's going to be the most dominant player on the court tonight just because of his size. I don't know how Buddy's not, Buddy hasn't gotten a job yet. I feel like he's like 27, but I guess he's still a collegiate player. I don't know. You got Simpkins, obviously, from Elon as well. That was a big pickup for them in the portal. They've got all this talent, and yet all their games are competitive. They go ice cold from beyond the arc a lot of these games. They are very dependent on what Shellstad can do in terms of, like, there's really no production other than Shellstad and then Takai Simpkins. Other than that, nobody really scores for this team. Their bench, they really don't have a bench unit. They're pretty much playing a 5-man rotation. No, they're playing a 6-man rotation because they play Sean Stewart. But it's a 6-man rotation. I don't love it, man. I'm going to go Oregon State. I think the Beavs are going to be competitive in this spot. It's a, Oregon versus Oregon matchup. Don't know how the crowd's going to be here, but I mean, hopefully Oregon State fares a little bit better tonight in basketball than they did earlier this year over in football. So give me Oregon State, the Beavs on the road, plus 13.5 over in Eugene against the Oregon Ducks. On to our final best bet of the video. We end things with a Big West versus Big Sky matchup, as we have got Cal State Bakersfield, the Roadrunners, going on the road to the Viking Pavilion in Portland, Oregon, to take on the Portland State Vikings. Portland State's a team that I think is going to be really good, and I was very optimistic about at the beginning of the season. We talked about them when they played Stanford to open the year, and they played a somewhat competitive game, a relatively competitive game over at the Farm against Stanford. Ultimately, though, the Vikings are 1-2 this season, and I know their 2 losses are against two decent schools in the grand scheme of things in the Bay Area, playing Stanford and playing the San Francisco Dons. Their only win is over Northwestern Indian, which they gave up 74 points to a Division II school. Okay. I mean, the Vikings did score 122 at the same time, but it's a little too close for comfort, but it's fine. That's my thing here, though, with this game. I'll get right into it. Cal State Bakersfield is going to be able to score tonight. I know they were not competitive when they played Cal, and they went to Ole Miss, and they were not competitive either. I understand. And Cal State Bakersfield does not have Jamel Jones anymore. Jamel Jones was everything last year for the squad, and he's doing the same thing he did last year at Bakersfield, just at New Mexico State now. Shout out to New Mexico State. They beat New Mexico UNM again for the 2nd consecutive season. I don't know how they keep doing it every single season. So no Jamel Jones, who's now the primary scorer. It's CJ Hardy. Now, is Hardy going to be as good as Jamel Jones was last season? I don't know. Jamel Jones was a hooper, and every time, Cal State Bakersfield rolls around the Big West schedule, okay, it's how many points can Jamel Jones drop? CJ Hardy's not bad. I mean, last 3 games for Hardy, 17 points against their Division II opponent, 18 against the Leathernecks of West Illinois, and then 21 against Ole Miss in 33 minutes. CJ Hardy last year, again, was a player on the C-Sub team. He played with Jamel Jones, saw Jamel Jones put up those 20 points per night while Hardy was there averaging 10 points a game. He's a capable scorer, and he's going to be the guy, I think, keeping this Bakersfield together for most points of the season. I don't mind their center, Pierre Gineste, I believe. He's a Haitian player who is just out there to grab boards and play defense. He doesn't really offer anything scoring-wise, but the guy who's going to play 20-plus minutes. He's going to grab anywhere from 7 to 15 boards a night. And that's really all he's put on the court to do. He played at Fresno last year, really couldn't find a role in that Fresno team, could not find a role at La Tech. He's found a role at Bakersfield. You do one thing and one thing only, and that's you play defense, put your hands up, and grab rebounds. I think it's a solid thing to have, again, especially when you see some teams in college basketball right now playing completely undersized. Now, Portland State's really not that team. They have Trayvon Minott. Minott's been around college basketball for forever, started at South Carolina in 2020, and he's still playing. But again, that's why you have a guy like Gineste here. He's going to be able to completely just lock on to Minott the entire game, and that's the matchup for him. Minott's a 12 points per game scorer for Portland State. Should be a little bit of trouble. Now, I've talked about Portland State before, and I understand their returning players are really good. Jalen Henderson is their best player on the squad, obviously, right? Henderson was a player at Portland State last year, started every single game for the team, averaged 13 points per game. So far this season, he's averaging 19, put up 19 against Stanford and 18 against the San Francisco Dons. He's been huge. This is their best player. He's going to take up a bunch of shots, though, and he's going to command the ball a lot. And that's just how he plays. I mean, look at the Stanford game, so at the San Francisco game, he takes 17 shots. And he only hits 6, but he plays every minute of the game, goes 3 for 4 at the line, and that results in 18 points because he hit 3 3-pointers. Again, Jalen Henderson's very ball dominant. He's going to take as many shots as possible, and some nights when he's on, he's great. Other nights, though, when that shot's not falling, it's a different story. Sebastian Tidor is their other very good player. He is a junior. I believe he's a Division II transfer, or either a JUCO or Division II transfer. He's been good this season, dropped 22 points in the Stanford game, but again, trust me, Jalen Henderson is the guy. I've seen Portland State play last year, watched him play this year. It's a Jalen Henderson-led squad where, again, he's like Cam Thomas in the Nets. He takes every single shot for them going down court. Every big shot's going to Jalen Henderson, and he is their best player. I cannot deny that. And obviously, Minott is their center. He's good. He can dominate against a bunch of smaller teams. That's not really going to be a factor here because, again, Bakersfield is a player who literally that's his only assignment, and that's Gineste. Put your hands up, Try to get blocks. He's averaging 2 blocks a game so far this season. Try to get blocks and try to box guys out. He had 5 blocks in the West Illinois game. Yeah, you like to have that on your team. So I think this game, again, is way more competitive than the lines indicate. I think this is, not as close as the UCSB LMU game, but it's kind of close to it. I think these two teams are way closer than the odds indicate. I think Bakersfield and Portland State are going to play a very competitive game, like I believe LMU and UC Santa Barbara are going to play a game that goes down to the wire. I think the same thing here. I think Portland State's good, yes, but Bakersfield's got scorers as well. Bakersfield, I know, did not play well at Ole Miss and at California. Guys, I do like Portland State quite a bit, but Portland State's not Ole Miss or Cal, okay? I think we're fine here with the Roadrunners. Again, they've gotten great production so far out of CJ Hardy, finally becoming the guy with the Roadrunners after, again, watching that last season with Jamel Jones. I think Bakersfield is going to get it done tonight. I'm going to take C-sub here on the road to cover 6.5 points. It's just way too many in my opinion. I think this should really be set at 3.5. We'll take it at 6, though. Perfect line for us. Again, I think Bakersfield will be able to keep this one very competitive, and I think they might go into halftime with the lead. Portland State's good. I just don't think the Roadrunners are that far off of them, though. So again, give me Bakersfield on the road to cover 6.5 points. Folks, thank y'all for watching our college basketball best bets here on November 16th. If you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more November 17th. If you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for more daily college basketball best bets, and later today for our NBA best bets as well. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.